He's your favorite scorer's favorite scorer.
KD, man. When I watch him play, it looks way too easy.
And for the last 15 years, he's been the toughest player to guard in the NBA.
The fake, the second, ankle breaker!
Kevin Durant. That was the one that I retired without really being able to figure out what it is that how I can stop him.
As a four-time scoring champ and soon-to-be member of the elusive 30,000-point club, Kevin Durant's legacy as a scorer is undeniable. Other than Jordan and Kobe, there aren't many players who can even be put in the same sentence as KD in terms of being an unstoppable one-on-one bucket machine. However, when it comes to his overall legacy, KD never gets mentioned in the same conversation as LeBron, MJ, Kobe, or even Steph Curry. When they played together in Golden State, it was KD who won 2 Finals MVPs, and not Steph. And yet, Curry's GOAT status is set in stone, while most people wouldn't even name Durant in their top 10 players of all time. This is the complicated legacy of Kevin Durant. At the age of 21, KD became the youngest NBA scoring champion ever, averaging 30.1 points per game in his 3rd NBA season. He was also the 2nd youngest to make the first All-NBA team, behind only LeBron James, who also won the MVP that year, while KD finished 2nd. And that theme would continue over the next several years. KD kept winning scoring titles, while LeBron won MVPs, with Durant as the runner-up. In the 2012 NBA Finals, LeBron's Miami defeated Durant and OKC in a series that was much closer than a 4-1 score would suggest. Although James won the title and the Finals MVP, it was Durant who had slightly better numbers. LeBron averaged 28, 10, 7, shooting 48% from the field and just 19% from 3, while KD averaged 36 and 2, shooting 55% from the field and 40% from 3. In fact, the only reason why LeBron defeated KD in that series was the superior shooters around him. LeBron's teammates hit 47% of their threes in the series, while Durant's teammates made only 26%. And then, in the offseason, the Thunder made the biggest mistake in franchise history. They traded away James Harden for a bag of chips because the owner didn't want to pay the luxury tax, which was the beginning of the end of a dynasty that never truly blossomed. Sure, KD won 4 scoring titles in OKC and finally an MVP in 2014. But during Durant's tenure in Oklahoma, the Thunder played inefficient basketball that never utilized the full extent of his basketball genius. Sure, the Thunder always had talent, but they never had the framework for that talent. In the half-court, they played ugly, at times unwatchable basketball that relied on drawing fouls and letting KD and Russ take turns in isolation against 2 defenders. And after they squandered a 3-1 lead in the 2016 Conference Finals against Golden State, Durant realized that he needed a change of scenery. And there wasn't a better team or better system than the one they had in Golden State. At the time, KD's move to the Warriors seemed soft.
How are you viewing this move from Durant?
Well, I'm viewing it as the weakest move I've ever seen from a superstar.
But now it's been 8 years since his infamous decision, and we can say that the move to Golden State was the only logical one, because we finally saw KD unleashed in all of his basketball glory. Like a tailored suit, Durant was made for the Warriors, and the Warriors were made for him. In their unselfish and versatile offensive scheme, in which almost every man can play any role, we saw KD thrive in multiple ways. He wasn't only a finisher anymore. Now, he was also used as a passer, a cutter, a screener, or even a decoy. Even when Durant was the guy scoring the ball, it wasn't like OKC, where he got the ball on the wing and had to improvise over 2 defenders. KD got a ton of easy baskets and dribble handoffs, catch-and-shoot sets, cutting to the basket. It was beautiful to watch, and KD made the game look effortless. His efficiency rose to a new level, and the Warriors were unbeatable. They won 67 games in the regular season with the best offensive rating of all time. In the playoffs, they swept all of their series in the West to reach another finals clash against LeBron James and the Cavs. And in that finals, KD proved that the Warriors needed him as much as he needed them. The Cavaliers were a monster team, but with Durant on the Warriors, they were simply outmatched in every way. Durant hit the biggest shot of the season, and maybe the biggest shot of his career in Game 3.
Durant for 3. It's good! Kevin Durant from downtown, and Golden State takes the lead.
breaking the Cavaliers' spirit and giving the Dubs an insurmountable 3-0 lead. The Warriors finished the playoffs with 16 wins and only 1 loss, which was the best playoff record in NBA history. And because of how well they shot the ball, how unbelievably balanced they were offensively and defensively, and how unpredictable and yet incredibly organized they were, many people believe that the 2017 Warriors were the best team of all time, ahead of the 1996 Bulls, and Kevin Durant was clearly the best player on that team. Durant's critics will say it was Curry's team, and that they won before he arrived. But the level of basketball that KD displayed has not been reached by many people. Kevin averaged 35 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists in the finals. His 35 points were the 10th best scoring average ever in the finals. But while there were players who scored more, nobody was as efficient as him. Durant shot 56% from the field, 47% for 3, and 93% from the free throw line, which amounts to 70% in true shooting percentage, the best ever shooting performance in the NBA Finals. What's even more impressive is that together with such an offensive masterpiece, KD played incredible defense.
And a block by Durant. His 5th rejection of the game.
When Green, Clay, and KD were on the court, the Cavaliers were practically unable to get to the basket. Durant slowed LeBron down in half-court offense as much as possible, so James tried to rush things and tried to get most of his points in transition. KD learned how to use angles to stay in front of his man. His long arms were constantly showing in the passing lanes, and he became an excellent help defender at the rim.
Right at Iguodala's sidestep layup blocked by Durant.
And then, in 2018, he took it to yet another level. Durant averaged nearly 2 blocks per game. He was the strongest he's ever been, and nobody could push him around in the post. Because of his athleticism and length, it was a nightmare to get by him or shoot over him. And if Durant didn't get injured and missed 20 games at the end of the regular season, he was a strong candidate for the Defensive Player of the Year. Offensively, KD's game slightly reverted to his OKC ways, because he realized that he didn't need to move off the ball as much, because he's Kevin Durant, and he can get his shot whenever he wants.
See, I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
The Warriors cruised through the regular season because they knew there wasn't anyone who could touch him in the playoffs, except for the Houston Rockets. Led by MVP James Harden, Chris Paul, and a bunch of switchable defenders, the Rockets built their team to match up with the Warriors, and it worked. After 5 games, Houston had a 3-2 lead.
That will do it. Houston has taken a 3-2 lead.
But then they lost Chris Paul, and it looked like it was going to be all over, especially after a tough blowout in Game 6.
Thompson for 3. Yes!
But in Game 7, the Rockets jumped out with a big lead.
Thompson playing with the 3 fouls. Went behind the back to Capella. What a play!
And if they hadn't missed 27 threes in a row, they could have won the series. But if you don't bring your absolute A game, you couldn't defeat those Warriors. And with 34 points in Game 7, Durant led the Dubs to another NBA Finals.
And the Golden State Warriors are on their way to a 4th consecutive NBA Final.
And for the 4th consecutive year, LeBron and the Cavs were the opponents. But this time, the Cavs were without Kyrie, and with worse role players. After J.R. Smith ruined LeBron's 51-point Game 1, the world knew that the Cavs were going to get swept.
You get the feeling J.R. Smith thought they had the lead. He didn't know the score.
They only showed real resistance in Game 3, when KD, once again, from virtually the same spot, knocked down another dagger 3.
Kevin Durant way outside, delivers! Kevin Durant from downtown, it's a 6-point game.
Which clinched the game and the series. Durant averaged 29, 11, and 7, with over 2 blocks in the series, again shooting 50, 40, 90 in the finals. And while this postseason run didn't go over as smoothly as 2017, this version of KD was maybe the best Durant we've ever seen, because his defense and offense were at an all-time high. And then, in 2019, KD's greatness was proven again, but this time it was proven by his absence. After he averaged 35, 5, and 5, with 50, 40, 90 shooting in the first round against the Clippers, Durant got injured in Game 5 of the second-round series against the Rockets.
It's Durant with Shumpert defending, and Kevin Durant laces one through.
And he's hurt.
He is.
As soon as he made that shot, he started
Look at
limping.
this. Look at this.
And while Golden State managed to defeat Houston and then Portland without KD, when they got to the finals against the Raptors, it was once again clear who was the best player on the Warriors. Without KD, Toronto's defense could zero in on Clay and Steph. Golden State's playmaking suffered too, as Durant averaged nearly 6 assists per game, and they had no one to successfully guard Kawhi one-on-one. And then, a miracle. Still recovering from the calf injury, KD decided to return for Game 5, and it made all the difference in the world. The Warriors' ball movement improved, and suddenly there was always somebody open, as the pure gravity factor of KD's scoring drew defenders in his direction. KD had 11 points in the first quarter, but early in the second, disaster.
Ibaka trying to stay with Durant, knocks it away, and Durant slipping. Durant goes down holding his leg.
Durant tore his Achilles, and even though the Dubs ultimately lost the championship in 6 games, if he had played the entire series, the Warriors would have likely three-peated, and KD would have finally had what he's been missing all these years: the universal acceptance of the whole basketball world that he was the best player on the planet. Instead, he was out for a year with the worst injury in basketball. And even though every GM knew that, every one of them would offer Kevin Durant a max contract. Ultimately, KD opted to sign with the Nets and form another super team with his good buddy Kyrie Irving. After missing the entire 2020 season, when KD returned, it was like he never got hurt. In fact, in some aspects of his game, he got even better.
Here's Durant to the rim, powers it down.
Before the injury, he was undoubtedly faster, both in transition and a half-court. An Achilles tendon injury combined with age had eaten away at his explosiveness. But being explosive was never essential to KD's game. Somehow, Durant upgraded his skills, and he was able to speed up his ability to make the right decisions on the basketball court. And because he was still a 7-footer with impeccable footwork, a great handle, and a feathery jump shot, his efficiency improved. In his first regular season as a Net, KD averaged 27, 7, and 6, shooting a career-high 54% from the field, a career-high 45% for 3, along with 88% from the free throw line. In the playoffs, Durant averaged 33 points against the Celtics with unreal 55, 50, 90 shooting splits. And the Celtics had no chance. Because Kyrie and the newly acquired James Harden also played at an insanely high offensive level, Brooklyn looked ready to go all the way. But then, another dose of bad luck. Both Kyrie and Harden got hurt in the second round against Giannis and the Bucks. But even without their 2 superstars, the Nets had a chance because they had KD. In Game 5, with the series tied, KD played arguably the best game of his career, scoring 49 points, 17 rebounds, and 10 assists, while hitting 16 of his 23 shots. And the Nets eked out an improbable victory.
Durant fires and hits.
The Bucks took Game 6, but in Game 7, KD looked like a Terminator once again, ready to destroy every opponent who got in front of him. This time, he had 48 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists, and he hit a series-winning buzzer beater that would send Brooklyn to the conference finals.
Here is Durant moving on Tucker. He turns, he shoots. Yes! With 1 second remaining.
Or at least it seemed. After the instant replay, the refs realized that Durant's toe was on the line, so his 3 got downgraded to a 2, and instead of a victory, the game went into overtime. In the OT, KD was exhausted and the Bucks advanced, eventually winning the 2021 NBA title. But if you thought that was dramatic, the Nets proved they could provide much more drama, especially off the court. The entire 2022 season will be remembered for Kyrie not playing because he refused to get vaccinated, and then got suspended for tweeting about an anti-Semitic movie. To add more fuel to the fire, James Harden asked for a trade, and their whole locker room became one big mess. Eventually, Kyrie was allowed to return to the court, but Harden was gone, and the Nets never got the proper return for the beard. In the midst of all that, KD averaged 37 and 6, in what was arguably his best regular season since his MVP year. But in the playoffs, the weakened and depleted Nets had no answer for the toughness of the Celtics, who beat up KD every time he touched the ball. And when the 2023 season started, the drama continued. Kyrie and KD were not happy with the team or the coach Steve Nash, and by mid-season, they both got traded. KD ended up in Phoenix, where he formed yet another super team, this time with CP3, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton. The first round of playoffs offered another 50-40-90 for KD, his 5th career series with those numbers, which are the holy grail of shooting. But after the Suns defeated the Clippers, they lost Chris Paul to injury against the Nuggets, and DeAndre Ayton got embarrassed by the Joker. Booker and KD tried their best, with Durant averaging 30-10-5 in the series, but again, his team was overmatched and they lost in 6. In 2024, it was another season with another new superstar on KD's team. The Suns decided to ship out Chris Paul for Bradley Beal, despite his injury history, a mammoth contract, and his skills being very similar to KD and Book. And, like always, KD delivered, with a super efficient 27, 6, and 5 in the regular season. But in the playoffs, he once again fell short to a better team. And now, as he's approaching his 36th birthday, his prime is slowly but surely fading away. And the question still remains, is KD really worthy to be ranked in the top 10 greatest players ever, even with all the failed super teams and joining a team that won 73 games? Well, if you look at the amount of all-stars that KD has played with over the years, Durant has arguably played with the best teammates ever. But then, if we look closely at the circumstances, KD was often very unlucky in pivotal moments, which made his legacy look much different. For a whole decade, KD was the second best player in the world, behind LeBron. And just as he was ready to surpass the king and sit on his throne, Durant got injured. When he returned, he was again the best player in the world, but injuries and drama that had nothing to do with him prevented Durant from winning that elusive third title. He's also been the second most consistent player in NBA history, behind only LeBron, with 15 straight years of averaging 25 points or more. KD is only one of 8 players in NBA history who averaged over 27 points for their whole career. His 14 All-Star appearances ranks him 9th all-time. And when it comes to the playoffs, he's again one of the most consistently great players ever, with only one playoff series where he averaged less than 25 points per game. In terms of championship and leadership ability, KD will forever stay behind the likes of Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Magic, Bird, and Steph, which in the eyes of many people will put him just outside of all the GOAT conversations. But when you look at prime Durant, when he was with the Warriors, KD reached the pinnacle of basketball.
Here's Durant whipping back.
And was a better overall player than some of the legends we mentioned before. And hey, if you like this video, stay tuned for more and continue watching nonstop.